CBS 6 News starts now.
Good evening, I am Tom Eschen, and thank you for joining us for this special primary edition of CBS 6 News. Tonight, we're following several key mayoral primary races, including New York City, Glens Falls, Hudson, and Albany. In Albany, 4 candidates vying for a Democratic nomination. The winner would head to the general election against Republican Rocco Pizzullo in November. As the polls stand right now, as of 9:06 p.m., Dorsey Appears does have the lead after the early voting numbers came in. It's important to note that Albany County's results page has been down since 9:15. You can see here we have team coverage tonight. Sean Kavanaugh, he's live at Dan Cerruti's watch party. But before we go to him, we'll send things out immediately to Brianna Sapardi. She's at Common Roots Outpost, where the Appears campaign is watching the votes come in right now. Bree, some developments here in the last few minutes.
To stand.
Yeah, so just seconds ago, Dorsey Appears took the podium.
History, we are making history
they
today.
tell me.
We could not have done this without all of you in this room. Today, I had the privilege of visiting so many polling sites. And there were so many people who walked out and said, I voted for you. Honking horns. Let's go, Dorsey, you got this. The texts, the calls, the prayers at 8 o'clock this morning, Rev Robinson, Pastor Johnson, Pastor Elgin Taylor, Pastor Booth. We could not have done this without all of you. And so before I give remarks, I just want to scan the room and say thank you to each and every one of you. From the front to the back, from the top to the bottom. This is Albany. This is Albany. I can get started now. All right. From the moment I arrived, I knew that there was something special about this place, about you, Albany. 21 years ago, I arrived here. What I did not know was that you would become the place I would meet my husband, Don. Where are you, Don? Now, Don and I have a family secret we don't tell in mixed company. But since we are all family, I will tell you all we met at Sneaky Pete's. Not only is this the place where I met my husband, Don, this is the place where we are raising our 2 beautiful girls, Noble and Naya. It's the place we first purchased our home, and it's the place that I've been able to grow strong roots in relationships with people and communities that I hold deep and dear in my heart. And to know me is to know when I hold you deep and dear, I'm going to always fight for you and be 10 toes down. My run for mayor has never been about me. If you know me, you know that to be true. It's been about the people of Albany. It's been about you. And my home, our home, the place that has given me so much. And it's always been the place that I have found peace and safety. This run has been about my home, our home, and never my ego, but our residents, business owners, workforce, and even our visitors. Over the last nearly 3 years, I've had the honor and privilege of building a strong team. Where's my team? and a coalition of supporters from across our great city, from wards 1 to 15, from the Dunes to South Pearl Street, and every corner in between. You have come out and expressed your support and encouraged me to keep going, even during some of my darkest times during this campaign. Team Dorsey represents the best of Albany. Yeah. Yeah. We are diverse. Yeah. We actually embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are fighters. We are prideful. We are fierce. And we are protectors of Albany. We are people who will always be 10 toes down for Albany. People who have come together, who have a shared belief in democratic principles and values, that government should work for everyone, regardless of which zip code you live in, regardless of the color of your skin, regardless of how much money you have in your account, even if you have an account, regardless of who you love, and regardless of who you pray to. Albany should and must work for all of us. Democracy requires shared decision-making and decisions and policies that work for the least of these. Albany, this win is historic. They said we couldn't do it. They lied. They went low. And we stayed high. They told lies and we told the truth. And when they were bold enough to talk lies on public TV, I was bold enough to call them out for their lies. This election, this win, is symbolic, and when the history books are written, they will tell the story, our story, of how a generation of Albanians from every corner of our city met this moment and declared that we will not go back. We declare tonight that we instead are moving forward, moving our city forward on a new path, a path that every child in this city can look towards, and a vision that every child in this city can look towards and see themselves in it. So with that, I just want to say, before I exit stage left, I want to thank so many people. My husband, Don. Thank you, hon, for always having my back, and front and side. Thank you for stepping up and caring for the babies while I was out on the campaign trail. Thank you. I love you. Thank you to our girls. I love you, Noble and Niall. And despite not spending a lot of time at home, please know that every moment spent away from the home was all about you, with you in mind, because you need to know that regardless of that beautiful brown skin that you have, that when you work hard enough, dream big enough, you can accomplish anything you put your mind to. I want to thank our family and friends who have come from near and far. Family that have drove up from D.C. and Maryland.
So you just heard it.
Delaware. My family's here. I have family here in Albany.
Victory. She says it's a historic.
I want to thank our team, the baddest team a girl could ever have. I always said I'll take them to bat.
Thank you very much for that, Bree Dorsey of Clears, calling the race here tonight, declaring victory in Albany, saying we embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion, that they're 10 toes down for Albany. And now, as a Clears declares victory here, we should go now to our other coverage outside of that, also in the city of Albany. Dan Cerruti and his watch party. He's about to take the stage here in just a few moments. Sean Kavanaugh is out there right now. Looks like he's taking the stage now, Sean.
Yeah. Right now, Dan Cerulli's about to get up. I'm going to step out because I believe he's going to about to start speaking right now. So we're going to take it to him.
Up front. I've seen the numbers. We're going to wait a few minutes because it could be closer than it looks. But she's made a speech. Dorsey looks like the next mayor. Look, the people of Albany have spoken, and we got to respect the process. We fought the good fight. I'm proud of the campaign we ran. We kept it clean. We kept it about facts. We went up against the machine and administration. We went up against the Times Union. I'm proud of what we did. I'm worried tonight, not about me. I'm worried about the people of Albany. My concerns are for those who are poor and those who needed our help. And for the last 12 years, they haven't got what we owe them. And so my hat's off to the Dorsey and her team. They ran a good campaign. I think at the end of the day, what we're going to find out is this characterization of me as a Republican backed by the MAGA stuck. And it could not be further from the truth. You all know that. But it's stuck. And it's stuck with people who wanted to believe it. And it is what it is. We have to respect the process. We did our best. I roamed around this morning at 6 o'clock, 17 different wards. I talked to people. I talked to a woman whose nephew, 15-year-old nephew, was shot and killed in Clinton Ave yesterday. I talked to someone who was upset because there's no place for the kids to play in the summer. The spray pads are off, the community centers are closed. So there's a lot of things we have to do in this city. And I want to still try to figure out how to do it. Here's what I know about our city. There's impractical far-left ideology in our country. It destroyed downtown San Francisco. They destroyed Oakland. They destroyed Portland. I think they've hurt Albany terribly. And it's an ideology that I think we have to fight against. It doesn't hurt progressive rich people. It hurts poor people. And that's my concern for the city of Albany. I want to do everything I can with all of us that we've become friends. We've created bonds, and I don't want to give up on our city. So I want to congratulate the new mayor, and I want to sit back and think about it a little bit. This is only a primary, and so I'll ask of you. I don't want to give up hope. But that said, we are a democratic city and we have a democratic process and we have to respect it. Before we leave, I just want to acknowledge all the people who came together. We came from nothing. We were nothing. I'm an outsider. I'd never run before, and we put a team together, a team of volunteers. And I'm so proud of the team we put together. We had 100 folks who got petitions. We had letter writers. We had over 700 people who donated to our campaign, all from nothing. I am so proud of all of you. I was honored to be your candidate. It meant a lot that everyone wanted to improve our city, and we're not going to give up on that. I want to recognize a few folks who are just stalwarts. I'm going to read down this. I hope you don't mind. People who chipped in. They were all volunteers. My head of marketing, Stephanie and Ashley. My head of communications,
All right,
Paul
and that is
Larrabee.
Dan Cerruti
The campaign manager, Steve
concession
Napier.
speech right now. I'm going to send it back.
Field
to Tom,
director,
back in
Bob
the studio.
Haggerty. Two guys who did just...
Yeah, thanks so much, Sean. We'll get back out to our reporters. I'm sure they'll have more reaction from the candidates here tonight. Joe Bonilla joins us back here in the studio here tonight. He's been with us all night long. Joe, we hear this called just after 10 o'clock by Dorsey Appears tonight. That, of course, looks like a concession speech from Dan Cerruti. Said they still have to count the votes, but saying there, looks like Dorsey Appears is our next mayor. Your reaction to all this tonight?
Well, again, we only know the early vote right now, and I'm sure, here's the thing. Usually with the early vote, it will then follow for the day of vote. So right now, Dorsey's up, I think, around 51, 52%. Cerruti's at 31%. If that holds, then that will be the ballgame at that point. So that's why I'm looking at, you know, I don't see anything changing dramatically in the next few hours.
Yeah. Is this what you expected in terms of results tonight? We knew that these two were the top candidates. They looked like that after those early votes came in, but you did have a sizable lead with that early vote, and now it appears from what internal polling, I guess you could say, what they're hearing from the sites, this is called before 11 o'clock.
Correct, which again, if that margin holds, that's a pretty significant margin in a four-way race for mayor of Albany. Which again, I think the polls that we saw earlier on were a lot closer than this.
Yeah, in terms of the message that sends now to the city, we talked about this before at 7 o'clock here tonight in regards to the Kathy Sheehan administration. Of course, it plays a part of that, but worked to separate herself from that. But the voters, I guess, putting a stamp of approval on Appears here. And you have to also say that she did have some pretty heavyweight endorsements that came along the way too here. Right, and again, Dorsey, I think, she has run the longest campaign in Albany mayoral history. She announced almost 2 years ago. So again, this has been more of a marathon than a sprint. And if you look at, obviously, the Cerruti campaign, I think they ran an excellent campaign, but again, could not get over the finish line that way. What did you think about some of the, you just heard from Dan Cerruti, some of the things that he said about his assessment of Albany as he now looks, looked like he left the door open for his future there. But as, of course, we'll talk about it clears in the next few days in terms of Cerruti's assessment of the city right now. Right, and I think, again, those were concerns that I think all four campaigns heard. Public safety and the direction of the city. So again, it'll be up to Dorsey Appears to be able to take some of these notes from the Cerruti campaign and be able to bring that back into her fold. Any thoughts on the city race going on right now with Mom Donnie having that big of a lead with Cuomo? I will say this, it's a surprise, but again, you had Zoran Mondani, who ran this very technologically advanced campaign on social media, on TikTok, all of that, versus Andrew Cuomo, who ran a very traditional campaign. And we're starting to see that maybe the traditional campaign does not work in New York City versus it working statewide. We just heard from the AP that it was going to go to ranked choice, which means they didn't have big enough, get enough votes to be able to call it tonight, right? So that will go into next week. Basically, if one does not get 50%, it will go to the next choice from there. So we'll probably hear in about a week or so. All right, more reaction from Joe coming over the course of the next hour. We'll have more on this election. Like I said, more from the reporters, the candidates themselves, as we continue here throughout this newscast. We also have some weather, hot weather to get to as well with Steve LaPointe. So stay with us here on the CW here at 10 o'clock tonight. On this Tuesday night, election night, of course, and it maybe had an impact. Who knows? It was hot today, but not as hot tomorrow. But Steve says still pretty hot. He's got the latest on when truly cooler and less humid air will arrive right after this word from our sponsor.
Experience the joy of effortless outdoor living with a Trex deck from Curtis Lumber. Relax, knowing your low-maintenance deck requires no sanding or staining. Trex composite decking is the perfect blend of beauty, sustainability, and durability. Whether it's family gatherings, cozy evenings, or a child's first steps, Curtis Lumber's design pros can help you create a foundation for lasting memories with Trex. Deck dreams do come true at Curtis Lumber.
Well, the heat was big today. Lots of mid and upper 90s up and down the Hudson River Valley. Albany officially 96. That was the high, and that once again tied today's record high, which was 96. This one set back in 1943. Those heat indices going above 100 for about 6 hours or so. Very long duration up and down the Hudson Valley. Albany peaked out at 103. Yesterday it was 107, so it was a little bit better, but this was big heat. Last of the big heat. Tomorrow will be kind of regular heat as temperatures flirt with 90. There'll be some low 90s south, and we'll still see heat indices into the 90s coming up with more of a mix of clouds and sunshine. And there is an outside chance we'll get a shower or thunderstorm as a weak frontal system makes its way in. So that just starts the cooling process. After that, we are substantially cooler on Thursday due to clouds and some rainfall moving in. It's only about 70 to 75, and that coolness lasts into Friday before temperatures start to recover as we head into this upcoming weekend. Dew point still pretty high tomorrow too, so muggy, but much less so for Thursday and Friday. So we wait another day, and then things will certainly become more noticeably cooler. Out there right now, though, it is still hot. Downtown Albany sitting at 87. That's a Freihofer sky camera look at the Empire State Plaza. Airport at 83, 80 still at Bennington. Look at Glens Falls at this hour, 81 degrees. So it's a hot and sultry night. Dew point sitting in the upper 60s to around 70. Some low 70s, and that means temperatures won't be falling off that much. So look for lows anywhere from about 70 to 75. Now, front's getting a little bit closer. It has triggered a couple of showers and thunderstorms across the far north. They've been rolling through portions of the St. Lawrence Valley into Vermont, a couple of affected portions of northern Herkimer, Hamilton counties. Pretty good one here into northern Hamilton County going like this. So this is basically the corridor. It's going to stay well north, but times Rutland County, northern Washington, Warren counties are kind of in line for maybe an additional shower or storm. Temperatures again tomorrow, 85 to 90 for most, and we'll see a few low and mid 90s off to the south. Heat indices upper 90s, mid-Hudson Valley. So we'll have a heat advisory flying from the National Weather Service for eastern Greene, western Columbia, eastern Ulster, Dutchess, and Litchfield counties. That's where the hottest feeling air will be. That weak front makes its way in. It's not going to be terribly active, though. Just a chance we get a shower or thunderstorm here and there. Very limited, so most areas likely will be missed coming up during the day tomorrow with our much better chances for rain on Thursday. Very cool high-pressure system coming out of southeastern Canada swings the wind into the east-northeast. Low-pressure ripples along the front, and that drives showers, even some steadier rain in, especially Thursday afternoon into Thursday night. It's going to linger, I think, into Friday morning before the pattern breaks down and we start to warm it up again a little bit later in the weekend. So only 70 to 75 degrees coming up on Thursday with temperatures in the 60s for much of the North Country. About 75 Friday. Best bet for showers morning. Afternoon looks drier. We bring the mugginess back over the weekend. Saturday with a chance of showers and storms, but Sunday right now, Tom, looks dry.
Thank you very much, Steve. We go down to New York City now, where former Governor Andrew Cuomo in that New York City mayoral race is conceding as we speak. He says he's already called Zohran Mamdani. He's at the podium right now. Let's go and hear from the former governor. Well, live television, he says goodbye. Maybe for now. We'll see if we see him again in November. Thanks for joining us here at CBS 6 News at 10 o'clock. Here's a look at what's ahead in the next half hour. We continue our primary coverage. A live look now here at the watch party for Dan Cerruti. It is quiet now as they wrap things up as he conceded just a little while ago. Coming up, our Sean Kavanaugh gives us a look at how they are feeling as those results came in tonight and not favorably for Cerruti. Stay tuned.
CBS 6 News starts now.
Thank you for staying with us here tonight, and thank you for joining us once again for this special primary edition of CBS 6 News. I am Tom Eschen. Tonight we are following several key mayoral primary races, including New York City, Glens Falls, Hudson, and Albany. Updates on all of those here over the course of the next half hour. As we mentioned, Dorsey Appears declaring victory not long ago. Just as we came on to our newscast here, we do have team coverage here tonight. Sean Kavanaugh live at Dan Cerruti's watch party. He just spoke a little while ago, conceding to Appears. Before we get to Sean Kavanaugh, let's send out to Brianna Sapardi, who's at Common Roots Outpost, where the Appears campaign is celebrating tonight. Brianna.
Good evening, Tom. Lots of cheers and celebrating here tonight. These were the words that Dorsey Appears said. Albany, this is a historic win. And the cheers just erupted right after. Clears declaring victory tonight in a Democratic mayoral primary here in Albany with more than 54% of the votes. Supporters now have been hugging, clapping, and chanting, getting their chance to congratulate Clears tonight. And Clears thanking her team and the voters for believing in her vision for Albany's future. Clears, who currently serves as the city's chief auditor, ran on a platform of accountability, public safety reform, and tackling homelessness through supportive housing and stronger social services. She defeated 3 challengers, Corey Ellis, Carolyn McLaughlin, and Dan Cerruti, in a race that remained competitive until the end. Now she is on track to becoming Albany's next mayor, and we'll be hearing from her live again in a live interview coming up at 11. But for now, I'm going to send it back over to you, Tom.
What a night there, Bree. Thanks so much. We continue our team coverage on this Albany mayoral primary. Sean Kavanaugh live at Martell's at Capitol Hills Golf Course, where Dan Cerruti just conceded a little while ago. Sean, what's the atmosphere like they're in now?
Good evening, Tom. Morale, the atmosphere is very low right now, and as you said, just about 10-15 minutes ago, Dan Cerruti had conceded, and a quick summary of what he said: it was a good campaign. He thanked a lot of his campaign people and his supporters, and said it is what it is at this time with these results. But he said he does fear for the future of Albany, but he did congratulate peers at this time, but he did say it is not over and he's going to keep fighting. He did wrap it up, said it is early, but it is just the primaries. Sean Kavanaugh, CBS 6 News, back to you, Tom.
Thank you, Sean. Interesting there. Notes from Dan Cerruti tonight, kind of leaving the door open to his future. We now take a look at another high-profile race in the capital city, the Democratic primary for Chief City Auditor. Sam Fine wins with just over 50% of the vote. So John Rosenzweig second, and David Gallen, Kathy Sheehan's chief of staff, coming in third there. So a new Chief City Auditor and a new primary, I guess you could say, winner when it comes to the mayoral race as well here tonight. Let's go to Hudson. We're monitoring the Democratic nomination for mayor there. Incumbent Mayor Kamal Johnson facing off against Joe Ferris. Recently served as the chair of the Columbia County Democrats Communications Committee. It appears Ferris has won that race. The challenger there, 53% to 47% at this point. In Glens Falls, also watching the Democratic primary for mayor there, incumbent Bill Collins challenged by 3rd Ward Councilwoman Diana Palmer. And Palmer with a resounding victory as the challenger there as well. 73% to 27% at this point in Glens Falls tonight. We'll keep an eye on those and any other results and any other elections all on our website, cbs6albany.com right now. More to come here as the night goes on. All right, we do move on to other stories today. You might have heard this in Dan Cerruti's speech not too long ago, as Albany police are looking for a shooter who they say gunned down a 15-year-old last night on a busy street. Police say it happened around 11 last night on the 500 block of Clinton Avenue. Police say the teen was shot in the back. He was pronounced dead at Albany Med. Tuesday morning, CBS 6 saw what appeared to be a bullet hole just steps away from where children played on the sidewalk. The victim has not been identified at this point. Police say it appears the victim and the shooter knew each other. So far, no arrests have been announced there. Joshua Fowler, the man accused of killing his wife, father, and grandmother, has been indicted by a Rensselaer County grand jury. That indictment announced today charges Fowler with 1 count of first-degree murder and 3 counts of second-degree murder. Fowler was arrested last Wednesday at the family home in Cropseyville, where his wife, Whitney Fowler, father Wilson Fowler, and grandmother Anita Crandall were found dead. He was taken into custody after a brief standoff with state police. Fowler has been held at the Rensselaer County Jail ever since. He'll go before a Rensselaer County judge for his first court appearance on these charges Friday morning. A minor, now the 3rd person accused of killing two 19-year-olds in Fort Anne last month. 2 young Albany men, 18-year-old Jordan Johnson and 20-year-old David LaRose, were arrested last month after what's been described as a robbery that turned deadly. Marcus McCauley, Adam Dara were shot and killed, found lying in the middle of Clay Hill Road on May 22nd. It's been 1 week since the U.S. Attorney John Sarcone was almost stabbed by a man from El Salvador who was in the country illegally. Sarcone calling out local law enforcement for what he calls a lack of police presence that night. But tonight, we're hearing from the Albany Police Union, who say Sarcone's remarks aren't painting the full picture. The union says Albany patrol units were notified approximately 7 minutes after the incident and did respond, but Sarcone is continuing to speak out, calling the ordeal frightening.
I'm appalled that there was no police presence around the Capitol. In fact, Albany police never even showed up on the scene. You have the U.S. attorney chased down the street with a knife-wielding maniac, not one call from the chief of police, not one squad car pulled up. And thank God I called the sheriff instead of the Albany police.
As he said there, he didn't call 911, and Albany police tell us they did indeed show up. The sheriff's deputies told them it was their investigation. The Albany Police Union responding to those claims, saying there was only a delay in response because he called Sheriff Apple instead of 911. Sarkhan also making a political statement in response to all this, questioning border policies while claiming he did not know Morales Garcia was undocumented during this attack. Sarkhan also questioned why the county does not have a larger law enforcement presence near the state capitol, even though it was the county sheriff who responded. All right, coming up, more on the mayoral primaries tonight. Joe Bonilla, a managing partner with Relentless Awareness, joins us once again in studio. More insight, analysis on tonight's big primaries. Some surprises, too. Meanwhile, in the weather, Steve's saying it's not as hot tomorrow, but still pretty hot. He's got the latest on when truly cooler and less humid air will arrive. That's coming up.
All right, here are the numbers today. 96, tying a record high 2 consecutive days at Albany with a high all the way up to 96. High-end heat, no question about that. 103, that was the peak heat index today. Yesterday was 107, so just a smidgen better. It'll be better tomorrow. It's still going to be a hot day, but I'm thinking temperatures 89, 90 tops in Albany, and heat indices low to mid-90s. So, yeah, by any stretch of the imagination, it's a hot summer day coming up. More of a mix of clouds and sunshine, but again, with the clouds, a slight chance of a shower or storm. Temperatures start to come down. We're going to see the real cooling in here on Thursday, 70 to 75 degrees. Much different kind of day with clouds and chances for rain, especially during the afternoon. Some showers into Friday as well, especially morning with 70s. And then here we go. We start to creep out of it. Warm summery weather starts to return for the weekend with that, some showers and storms. So a lot of humidity tomorrow, but much lower levels for Thursday and Friday as dew points actually creep back down into the 50s temporarily and then start to pop back into the 60s on Saturday. We're checking out Glens Falls where it's 82 at this hour in the Freihofer Sky Camera Network. That is definitely toasty. 83 at Albany, Bennington 80, with Pittsfield is still 80 at this hour. So a warm and a sultry summer night with dew point 60s, low 70s. We're not going to see much of a temperature drop at all, anywhere from about 70 to 75. Now North Country, way up north, Hamilton County, portions of Herkimer County, Warren, Northern Washington, Rutland counties in line for a shower, thunder shower. Cold front approaching. That's slowly going to sag into the area coming up tomorrow. Could produce a storm during the afternoon. Very limited overnight tonight. You can see Long Lake with a downpour, some lightning with that, kind of headed like this. So this may clip the northern tip of Lake George in the next 45 minutes to an hour, Northern Washington and Rutland County. So this is kind of the zone to watch overnight tonight. Not a lot though, and it won't get any further south. So dry for most. And tomorrow, most dry as well. Just a slight chance of a shower or storm. 85 to 90, most locations may just get to 90 in the capital region. If we did, that's 3 consecutive days, would make this officially a heat wave. Best bet for 90s though in the Mid-Hudson Valley. Heat advisory in effect through the afternoon here for heat indices, those real field temperatures into the upper 90s down towards Catskill, Hudson, Kingston. The front drops in, just increases the clouds. Again, a slight chance we get a shower or thunderstorm with it, but not terribly active tomorrow. So very hit or miss, most spots dry. Thursday, different story. We're on the much cooler side as the high slips in. East-northeasterly wind coming off the Gulf of Maine. So that brings in the cool air, low pressure ripples to the south, and that brings in the wet weather through the course of the afternoon. It does look like a period of light rain developing on Thursday with that lingering into early Friday. Only 70 to 75 Thursday with 60s across much of the North Country. So a complete flip from where we've been. Still showery, still coolish on Friday, perhaps nearing 80 with a chance of a shower or thunderstorm Saturday. So some wet weather to open the weekend, but Sunday looks dry. Monday, Tuesday, typical summer, mid to high 80s here with moderate humidity and chances for scattered showers and storms. Tom.
All right, thanks so much, Steve. Joe Bonilla joins us once again as we now continue to react to the results that now have come in of this first Albany mayoral race. Dorsey appears declaring victory a short time ago. Dan Cerruti, we knew those were the top two. He basically conceded at this point. We know Corey Ellis and Karen McLaughlin coming in third and fourth in the race as well. From the numbers that now we've been able to see from the county, what sticks out to you?
I mean, again, it was an absolute landslide. I was absolutely shocked by that. I know there was some internal polling from both campaigns that showed it was a lot closer than this, but for her to win by over 20 points, And the same thing for the auditors race. For Sam Fine to win by double of what John Rosenzweig and David Gallen got is incredible.
I mean, just to have it be that clear,
right?
You know, what's that say to you?
I would say that, again, I think there was a vision that, again, from both the Sam Fine campaign and Dorsey Pleers, again, they were both back with the Working Families Party. So, again, progressive values, all that. So, again, it's a pretty affirming sign that Albany voters want that vision for their city.
Yeah, and you look at, you know, Pleers being a part of that Sheehan administration as the city auditor and checking them, I guess you could say. You know, does that factor in here at all, too?
I think, put it this way, it's a good night for Kathy Sheehan in that way. You know, again, like Kathy Sheehan was a supporter of Dorsey Pleers. She took her under her wing. So, again, to have that level of support for Dorsey tonight is definitely cementing the legacy of Kathy Sheehan.
What do you think it means for Dan Cerruti? You know, we'll start there with him and kind of what's next.
Again, right now, I mean, Dan does not have any other lines, so he can't run in the general election unless he does a write-in challenge, which is an incredibly difficult thing to do.
What about Carolyn McLaughlin?
Carolyn and Corey are in the same camp.
Yeah.
So, you know, for them, I mean, Carolyn McLaughlin is still a county legislator. Corey Ellis is still a Common Council president until the end of the year. We'll see what's in both their futures.
Yeah, obviously this for them was another try, another whack at it. But at the end of the day, it was Dorsey Pleers. And, you know, we talk about the issues at hand. How do you think she did in addressing those? Obviously, some of that resonated with the voters. You know, what do you think about her ideas and thoughts towards the city was the biggest traction there?
Yeah, I would definitely say her plan for housing, affordability, opportunity. I think she said in her speech tonight, diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yeah.
So again, those themes, those values resonated to voters, I believe, tonight.
And you heard Dan Cerruti, our eyebrows both picked up when he talked about far left ideologies and progressive thinking is ruining cities in upstate New York. I mean, that was a pretty interesting thing for him to say in that aspect.
Right, and I think he was looking at examples of other major cities across the country that have gone against mayors that may have swung to the left. And I think he was really hoping for that to be the result tonight, and unfortunately for him, it was not.
Let's talk about the city, New York City, here tonight, as it was a bit unknown, and I guess I did want to ask you about that here tonight. The polling was a bit all over the place. Of course, Andrew Cuomo had a bunch of the early traction, and then we did see a surge of Zohran Mamdani come in late. Did that, I guess, indicated what happened here tonight?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, Cuomo's numbers always were between 40 and 50% the entire time, from the time, you know, before he announced to where he was now, right? He never went over that mark. Mamdani started in single digits 3-4 months ago and was able to be insurgent in that way, driven really by social media and young voters.
Yeah, I'm curious. How do you do that? As someone, you're in this world of campaigning. What did you learn from that campaign that you put together?
I will say his team did an incredible job of really rewriting the whole playbook for how to win a campaign in that winning fashion, right? But again, we'll see as we look at it next week with ranked choice voting, how he will do in those rounds.
You know, and then, of course, everyone, all these candidates out of the primary will then go now into the fall in November and then compete against a Republican in both New York City and in Albany. But you don't seem, at this point, like a Republican can be able to overtake.
In the city of Albany, no. I mean, Dorsey Pleers will be the next mayor, right? In New York City, I mean, again, Andrew Cuomo has a separate line that he can run on. Eric Adams will be announcing pretty soon his re-election campaign as an independent. You have Curtis Sliwa, who's a Republican. So again, there's more of a chance for potentially Cuomo or Mayor Adams to be able to make an upset this fall.
All right, anything else stick out tonight?
I would say, again, like as I mentioned earlier, the voter turnout was still a little bit lower. You know, so again, it's like it's not necessarily a mandate win, but again, it's still a decisive win.
All right, Joe, we really appreciate your time. We will speak with you once again as we hit 11 o'clock over on CBS 6. But so stay with us. Don't go anywhere. We continue to unwrap all of this here tonight. We do have sports coming up. The Siena men's basketball team hitting their off-season program hard. Jerry McNamara and the Saints motivated, headed into a pivotal year 2. Find out why next.
Sponsored by your local upstate Chevy dealers.
The Siena men's basketball team's right back at it, hitting the summer workout program hard in year 2 of the Jerry McNamara era. Last year, the Saints turned a struggling program around. This year, though, it's about building off that, winning a MAC title, and punching a ticket to the big dance.
If you want different results than you did last year, you've got to work twice as hard, and that's what we're about, and that's what we're doing this summer.
From 4-28 to 14-18, the Siena men's basketball team saw a major jump in competitiveness in year 1 under Jerry McNamara, yet this group has some unfinished business.
No, I think we left a lot on the table.
Last summer, GMAC had to build a team and coaching staff from the ground up, and what a difference a year makes. A handful of returners now giving Coach the ability to hit the ground running right away this offseason.
You know, when you retain guys like Justice, Gav, Marcus, BC, guys, you know, Reed Ducharme, Tajay, who's been through it for a year. It's a luxury for me.
But with that experience comes expectations. Being competitive isn't the standard anymore. It's now about finding ways to turn those 5 one-possession losses into wins and being the team to beat in the MAC.
If you were to ask me last year, I think it was about the fight. It was about being proud of the product on the court. And I think that group proved it. Now it's about, all right, well, now we're all back. Like, it's not about the fight anymore. This is who you've become. This is who you are. Now it's about the production.
So what's the goal headed into a pivotal year 2 under McNamara?
You know, the goal for us hasn't changed. I think the goal for us is a championship. It's what we've strived for from the time that we got the job. It's no different this year. These guys say it in the huddle, MAC championship on 3. That's where their mind is. It's where I want their mind to be. And, you know, what's holding us back? You know, I think that's really... the biggest question for us is, you know, why can't we? You know, why can't we be that team that makes a huge jump again?
And when asked about the potential of getting to play his alma mater, Syracuse, McNamara gave a short, albeit telling response that he wants the Orange on his schedule.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? That'd be nice. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see if they'll play. We'll see.
And that potential matchup against the Orange has some legs to it. With the ACC dropping their conference schedule from 20 to 18 games, members will get to add 2 opponents to their non-conference slate. Cuse just added a game against Binghamton. They still have a slot left to potentially play GMAC Siena. Back to you.
Thank you, AJ. More results coming in here tonight. In Hudson, we're monitoring the Democratic nomination for mayor. Incumbent Mayor Kamal Johnson against Joe Ferris, who recently served as the chair of the Columbia County Democrats Communications Committee. And Ferris looks like he's won this race, 53% of the vote to Johnson's 47% of the vote. So the challenger winning there, and in Glens Falls, the challenger winning here in the Democratic primary for mayor. Incumbent Mayor Bill Collins challenged by 3rd Ward Councilwoman Diana Palmer. Palmer winning with 73% of the vote there. Busy night throughout the Capital Region. A hot day.
Super hot day. This was day 2 of extreme heat. It comes down tomorrow, so it gets less hot. It's still hot and it's still humid. There could be a thunderstorm, but isolated are much better chances for rain will come in on Thursday, and that's when temperatures will really drop. Only 70 to 75 degrees for highs. Some of you might actually be chilly on Thursday into Friday morning, and then, of course, it warms up pretty quickly. It is summertime after all. We get warm and muggy again over the weekend.
Yeah, 75 will feel good after the last 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to come with a little bit of rain, especially in the afternoon, so I don't think a lot of people are going to like that, since having a couple of dry days has actually been kind of a nice bonus.
Yeah.
Even though you go outside and it's like a blast furnace.
It's been very uncomfortable. Yes. Thanks, Steve, so much. Thanks so much for watching us here at 10 o'clock. Dorcia Pleers, who won the Democratic nomination for Albany's mayor primary, coming up next.
CBS 6 News starts now.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for this special primary edition of CBS 6 News. I am Tom Eschen. Tonight, we're following several key mayoral primary races, including New York City, Glens Falls, Hudson, and of course, Albany. And down in New York City, like I said, we'll have an update on that here in just a moment. Dorcia Pleers declaring victory at 10 o'clock tonight, live on CW 15. Covering it for the last hour, and we have team coverage tonight. Sean Kavanaugh live at Dan Cerruti's campaign. Before we go to him, we'll send things out to Brianna Sapardi. She's at the Common Roots Outpost with Dorcia Pleers live to start 11 o'clock now.
Good evening, Tom. Dorcia Pleers joining me live now, fresh off of her Democratic primary win in the race for Albany mayor. First off, congratulations.
Thank you so very much. I'm so honored.
I know, as we stand here, surrounded by your supporters, what is going through your mind? You called this win historic.
There's so many things, but first and foremost, I'm just very humbled by the turnout from Albany voters, Albany residents who came out in record numbers and supported my candidacy. I share the pride of all of the people in this room tonight. When I walked in, this room just erupted in cheer because this really is a historic moment for our city. We are still writing our city's history, and in this moment, Albanians came out and made it clear that as a city we want to move forward and we're not moving backwards.
What do you think is the message that voters sent tonight by choosing you?
What people want is change, as well as a leader who is going to listen, someone with a track record of service, someone who has vision and also heart. One of our voters was quoted in the paper saying, "I'm voting for Dorsey because I feel that she will be with us even during our darkest times." And that is true, and I've served this city during some of our darkest days as a city councilwoman, but also as a city auditor. And so that track record of service and being present, being a listener, being a bridge builder, but also someone who can get things done and work well with other people. Our residents sent a clear message tonight that they want leadership with hope, pride, determination, vision, but most importantly, someone who is inclusive of every single resident.
And to you personally, what does this win mean to you, especially as someone already serving in the city's government?
This is really, for me, an honor. I love being a public servant. I love serving our city, hence why I've served our city for a little over a decade in different positions. This is really what it means to pour into other people's lives, to be of service, to improve people's quality of life. And I don't take that lightly. I also know that we have an obligation as a city to rebuild our city in the way that we are leaving it in a better place for generations to come. And so I think about my work, our work as a city is bigger than just the here and now. It is about the future of our great city.
And Albany hasn't changed leadership in a while, so how will your administration be different? What are you looking to do?
Well, I think one of the things that I'm known for is bringing diversity of thought to the table. And so one of the first things that I will do is ensure that we are putting together a comprehensive transition plan that reflects the diversity of our city, from the 1st Ward to the 15th Ward, from South Pearl to the Dunes. It is and will be an inclusive vision for our city and a roadmap and plan to accomplish our goals.
And what do you want the people of Albany to know about the kind of leader you'll be?
Well, I want our residents to know, those who voted for me, but also those who didn't. There's some work that needs to be done to build trust among our residents who are unsure about my leadership. I am someone who will serve every single resident. This is about looking forward and being of service to every resident. I am here to fight for our families, fight for our city, to make sure we have safe streets and thriving neighborhoods. We are experiencing the economic growth that we deserve, investing in quality of life issues, but also making sure that Albany is fun and vibrant. We are a historic city, but we also are in need of a new vision and a new path forward. And I want our residents to know that I take that seriously. And what you'll have in me is a fighter, as someone who works hard and brings 150% of effort to every single thing I do.
Well, Dorsey Appears, thank you so much. And again, congratulations. And we'll be watching closely as you prepare to take in the reins. For now, Tom, I'm going to send it back over to you.
Thank you very much, Brianna. Thanks so much for Dorsey Appears taking that time. Just another reminder that now she'll go on to the general election in November against the Republican candidate Rocco Pizzullo there. We continue our team coverage on the Albany mayoral primary now. Sean Kavanaugh live at Martell's at Capitol Hills Golf Course. That's where Dan Cerruti conceded a little bit earlier here tonight. Sean, what did you hear from him?
That's right, Tom. Now, most of the people have left at this point, and if you did miss the live concession on our around 10, here's a quick summary of it. He did thank everybody, his voters, his campaign manager, and everybody that stood behind him. But he did say that these results, they are what they are. But he does fear for the future of Albany. But he did give his congratulations to Appears. But he did say it is not over, and he will keep fighting. And he wrapped it up with, it is still very early, but this is just the primaries. This is Sean Kavanaugh, CBS 6 News. Back to you, Tom.
Thank you very much, Sean. We now take a look at another high-profile race in the capital city, the Democratic primary for Chief City Auditor. Sam Fine wins just under 50% of the vote there between the three candidates. John Rosenzweig was second, David Gallen finishing in third there. Another large margin of victory in Albany tonight. In Hudson, meanwhile, another challenger wins here, the Democratic nomination for mayor there. Incumbent Mayor Kamal Johnson against Joe Ferris, and Ferris appears to have won this race tonight, 53% over Johnson, the incumbent, 47%. Same story in Glens Falls, the Democratic primary for mayor there. Incumbent Mayor Bill Collins challenged by 3rd Ward Councilwoman Diana Palmer. Palmer, the winner, overwhelmingly at that, 71% of the vote, 694 to 277. And now that high-profile race in the city that included our former governor appears to be coming to a close now. Andrew Cuomo has conceded in that race for New York City mayor, and the future seems to be uncertain at this hour. The latest projections from the AP show his biggest challenger, Zohran Mamdani, a nearly 7% lead over Cuomo. Polls show a strong voter turnout for the 33-year-old state assemblyman in Brooklyn and Manhattan there. The former governor, meanwhile, took time to thank his supporters in a speech tonight.
Tonight was not our night. Tonight was Assemblyman Mamdani's night, and he put together a great campaign, and he touched young people and inspired them and moved them and got them to come out.
An official winner might not be declared until next week, and until those ranked choice ballots are tabulated, that winner would go on to face the Republican Curtis Sliwa in the general election. Head to our website, cbs6albany.com. Coming up, more analysis. Joe Bonilla, managing partner with Relentless Awareness, joins us in studio with insight and analysis on tonight's primaries, as he has all night long. Let's get to some of the news of the day here now, and we'll start in the city of Albany at that. Right now, Albany police are looking for a shooter who they say gunned down a 15-year-old last night on a busy street. Police say it happened around 11 last night on the 500 block of Clinton Avenue. Now, police say the teen was shot in the back. He was pronounced dead at Albany Medical. Tuesday morning, CBS 6 saw what appeared to be a bullet hole just steps away from where children played on the sidewalk. The victim has not been identified. Police say it appears the victim and the shooter knew each other. So far, no arrests have been announced there. We move on. Joshua Fowler, this man accused of killing his wife, father, and grandmother, has been indicted by a Rensselaer County grand jury. That indictment announced today charges Fowler with 1 count of first-degree murder and 3 counts of second-degree murder. Fowler was arrested last Wednesday at the family home in Cropseyville, where his wife Whitney Fowler, father Wilson Fowler, and grandmother Anita Crandall were found dead. He was taken into custody after a brief standoff with state police. Fowler has been held at the Rensselaer County Jail since. He'll go before a Rensselaer County judge for his first court appearance on these charges Friday morning. A minor is now the 3rd person accused of killing 19-year-olds in Fort Anne last month. 2 young Albany men, 18-year-old Jordan Johnson, 20-year-old David LaRose, were arrested last month after what's been described as a robbery that turned deadly. Marcus McCauley and Adam Dara were shot and killed, found lying in the middle of Clay Hill Road on May 22nd. It's been 1 week since the U.S. Attorney John Sarcone was almost stabbed by a man from El Salvador, he says, who was in the country illegally. Sarcone calling out local law enforcement for what he calls a lack of police presence that night. But tonight we're hearing from the Albany Police Union, who say Sarcone's remarks aren't painting the full picture. The union says Albany patrol units were notified approximately 7 minutes after the incident and did respond, but Sarcone continuing to speak out, calling the ordeal frightening.
I'm appalled that there was no police presence around the Capitol. In fact, Albany police never even showed up on the scene. You have the U.S. attorney chased down the street with a knife-wielding maniac, not one call from the chief of police, not one squad car pulled up. And thank God I called the sheriff instead of the Albany police.
As a reminder, he did not call 911, and Albany police say they did respond. The Albany Police Union responding to these claims, saying there was only a delay because he called Sheriff Apple. Sarcone also making a political statement questioning border policies while claiming he did not know Morales Garcia was undocumented during the attack. He also questioned why the county does not have a larger law enforcement presence near the state capitol, even though it was the county sheriff who responded. Coming up, we continue to bring you the latest in the primary elections across the region and the state. In just a few minutes, I'll be joined by Joe Bonilla getting reaction about tonight's races. Steve.
All right, Tom, 11 o'clock, still 80 degrees at Albany. It is a sultry night, but the trend over the next 24 to especially 48 hours will be for temperatures and humidity to come down. I've got the timeline on what ultimately will be a pretty substantial temperature tumble. That's coming up after the break.
It was also very hot today. Steve's saying it's not as hot tomorrow, but still pretty hot. He's got the latest on when the truly cooler and less humid temperatures will arrive right after this word from our sponsor.
Experience the joy of effortless outdoor living with a Trex deck from Curtis Lumber. Relax, knowing your low-maintenance deck requires no sanding or staining. Trex composite decking is the perfect blend of beauty, sustainability, and durability. Whether it's family gatherings, cozy evenings, or a child's first steps, Curtis Lumber's design pros can help you create a foundation for lasting memories with Trex. Deck dreams do come true at Curtis Lumber.
All right, here's a look at how hot it got today. Some of the local hot spots included Whitehall and Schuylerville and Red Hook, where the temperatures topped off at 98. 96 officially at Albany to tie a record. Poughkeepsie, further south, hit 100 degrees. Lots of spots well into the 90s. And a lot of us from Albany on south may get to 90 once again coming up tomorrow. But we will not repeat the heat indices in the 100s like we've been dealing with today and yesterday. Those will come down a bit as temperatures and humidity will start to come down some, but initially the cooling will be subtle tomorrow. But check it out, Albany with the heat index peaking at 103, 112 at Whitehall. Schuylerville at one point today felt like 109 degrees. This is just absurd. 2 consecutive days of it, but it will get a little bit better. Still flirting with 90 for the high tomorrow in the capital region, and heat indices low to mid 90s. So still hot, just less hot than it's been, and humidity levels still up there, but those should come down. Check it out though, Thursday, that's when the truly cooler air comes in. 70 to 75 clouds and some wet weather resulting from that. We'll still have some showers Friday, and then we start to pull out of it over the weekend. Warm, summery, humid air returning at that point. Dew points well into the 60s, even 70 or so tomorrow morning, and then dropping back temporarily Thursday into Friday before popping back by the start of the weekend. Checking out Schenectady, where it's still very warm. Freihofer's sky camera view of the city with mostly clear skies. 81, that's your current temperature. 80 at Albany. Got mid-70s Ballston, Swap to Glens Falls, Edinburgh 73. Mid-70s Bennington to North Adams, Pittsfield at 79, and Kinderhook at this hour 78 degrees. 60s, low 70s for dew points, even a few mid-70 dew points off to the south. So really sticky air means temperatures not dropping off much tonight. 70 to 75 for most. Shower chance continues across the far north for maybe another hour or so, but the radar showing storms which have been up here close to the border kind of dissipating. There's the front that's going to slowly come in tomorrow as the heat dome starts to flatten out, and that will allow the cooling to start coming in initially gradually and then becoming more pronounced by Thursday. So there's your jet stream running to the north, the heat dome weakening and shifting south, so that allows the cooler air to start coming in. Initially a slow process. Had a shower thunderstorm around Long Lake. That's now into Essex County, kind of fizzling out, but we'll watch northern Warren, northern Washington, Rutland counties for maybe a shower or thunder shower the next hour or so. Otherwise it's dry. 85 to 90 for most tomorrow. We'll see 90-ish capital region, maybe some low and mid 90s in the mid-Hudson Valley, so still plenty hot. Heat advisory for upper 90 heat indices in mid-Hudson Valley, Dutchess and Litchfield counties. That's where the hottest feeling air will be. In terms of showers and storms, despite a front coming in, the heat, the humidity, I don't think there'll be too many. The atmosphere pretty capped, but an isolated to widely scattered shower thunderstorm possible. I think most spots will likely get through the day dry. Not the case Thursday. Cool high pressure then comes in out of southeastern Canada. The wind swings into the east-northeast. That really cools us off. Clouds, low pressure to the south. That brings the showers, the light rain, and especially through the afternoon, continuing Thursday night into Friday morning. So a damp and cool period. Only 70 to 75 on Thursday. North Country probably not getting temperatures out of the 60s. So definitely an abrupt change in temperature. It's going to feel maybe a little bit chilly for some. Friday 75, showers morning. Afternoon looks drier. Shower thunderstorm as we open the weekend. So some rain on Saturday, pushing 80. Dry for Sunday. Monday, Tuesday looking typically summer, mid to high 80s. Muggy. Chances for scattered showers and storms. Tom.
Thanks, Steve. No 90s, finally. Coming up later in our next segment, Joe Bonilla joins us in studio with insight and analysis on the primary races tonight. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Joe Bonilla joins us now in studio. Break down some of these races and these results that we've seen tonight in these primaries. Let's start in the city of Albany. A resounding victory for Dorcia Pliers here, Joe. What sticks out about her campaign and why she was so successful in the city? Again, she started this campaign in November of 23. It's been a marathon for her and her entire campaign. So again, that resonant landslide victory that her campaign saw tonight is the result of running for 18 months. And again, hearing from voters what they wanted to hear in terms of their next administration. Were you surprised it was a landslide? A little bit, yes. Yeah. I'll be very frank about it. I think there were a lot of internal polling that showed a lot closer than a 20-point margin. And again, between her race and Sam Fine's victory for the city auditor's race, it's quite resounding. What kind of message did the voters of Albany send tonight? Again, I think, as I mentioned earlier, there was, again, this feeling with Dorcia Pliers that it could be a continuance of the Kathy Sheehan administration. I think for Kathy Sheehan, it's much more of a legacy building from there. And you look at Dorcia, and you mentioned it was a long campaign for her. And as a chief city auditor, already had some prominence. But then you did get these endorsements. I mean, you saw Letitia James, you saw Carl Hasty, like some big state endorsements. And you always wonder what kind of impact they have. Do you think they did at all to maybe garner some more recognition and maybe even credibility in that aspect? I would say, endorsements only matter so much. Again, if you like somebody, you like somebody from there. But I think really it was her ground game, her field operation that really won the day. Yeah, and I think that's an interesting aspect because we saw Dan Cerruti get Jennings, the former mayor, who was a very successful mayor at that, pretty well regarded, too. Right, and part of it, too, is that Jared Jennings has not been in office in 12 years. Now, he still has resonant value, but does that translate into voter impact? And we're seeing tonight, maybe did not. We go down to New York City now. Zohran Mamdani looks like he's going to get that nomination eventually when they figure all this out. And former Governor Cuomo conceding tonight. Is that surprising to you? That's incredibly surprising. But again, Cuomo never saw more than 40 to 50% of the polling numbers from the time he entered the race, right? So again, for Mamdani to be able to go from single digits to the number he got tonight, which he won, and we'll see next week with obviously the results of ranked choice voting, it's a very huge sign of, again, people liked what they saw with Zohran's campaign. That was quite the escalation of the campaign. Came together over late 3 months. Quickly. Right. Joe Bonilla, we really appreciate your time all night long. Of course, all of his analysis we were able to see here as the night went on and so forth. So we really appreciate your time. Of course. Thanks so much, Joe Bonilla. I believe we're going to go to a commercial break. We'll be right back here in just a moment with more on the primaries here on CBS 6. Back here to CBS 6 News at 11 as Dorcia Pliers declares victory in the Albany mayoral Democratic primary. We have her live now. Dorcia, we really appreciate you coming on with us here tonight. Of course, you just spoke with our Brianna Sapardi for a little bit, but obviously we spoke a couple times over the course of your campaign, a long campaign. We were just talking about how long you were at this. What was the biggest challenge over the course of the last couple of years in getting the job done?
Running for anything for nearly 3 years comes with its own challenge in terms of the maintaining pace and grit, tenacity. All of that was required to keep the pace, the momentum. We put in as a team a lot of work. But I think what made this really challenging was the difference in the political landscape. A lot has happened over the course of 3 years. And things as it related to this local race really started to heat up. Crowded race, 4 people in the race. And so we had, as a team, we had a lot of work to do to prove to Albany voters that I was the best candidate for the job.
How good does it feel that you were able to overcome that and get the job done at the end of the day right now?
I am still processing this victory. I am so elated. Not only is this a victory, but we are also making history in our great city. And I don't want to minimize the moment, but instead meet this moment and acknowledge that today Albany residents came out in record numbers to vote and to cast their vote in who they wanted to see as their next mayor. And I am just so honored to have the backing and support of so many supporters across our great city. So I am humbled, I am elated, and I have so much pride in my heart.
You had an ovation when you mentioned diversity, equity, and inclusion in your speech tonight. Why did you want to make that statement?
Well, I think it's important. I think those who came to the polls today, and even with early voting, but also everyone represented in this room tonight, Albany is a diverse city. It always has been. It's a city of immigrants. That is Albany's story, and so it is very important and critical that we remain a city that is diverse and a city that embraces diversity, equity, and inclusion. And as a candidate, I have always been very clear-eyed about my stance on embracing diversity, equity, and inclusion, and ensuring that Albany continues to be a city that, regardless of who you love, your skin color, or where you live, we should be a city that is welcoming to everyone.
When we spoke the other day, Dorsey, I asked you who inspires you. You mentioned the children and the kids and the future of Albany, but also your mother. How much did you carry her with you throughout this campaign, and how does that impact you tonight?
My mother's legacy lives on in me, and throughout this campaign, I've had the honor of telling our story, the story of a family that has worked hard. My mom was a D.C. cop. She walked the beats in D.C., and so to be able to tell her story and honor her legacy in life, I tell people that I am the woman that I am today because of my mother's sacrifice as a single mom of 4. And today's victory was about her, and she always inspired me and encouraged me to dream and dream big and go after my dreams. And I watched her work extremely hard. And so the hard work that I've put forth for this election is really a testament to what I saw my mom do, watching her as a little girl.
Dorsey Pleers, really appreciate your time. Congratulations tonight. We'll be speaking with you as we get closer to November now. Thanks again.
Thank you so much.
All right, we now take a look before we go. That other high-profile race in the capital city, the Democratic primary for Chief City Auditor Sam Fine. Another landslide win here tonight in the city of Albany as he wins. All of our results on CBS6Albany.com. Truly a historical night here in the city of Albany with these primaries. Of course, we'll see how it all shakes out in November in the general election there. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to Joe Bonilla for joining us here tonight as well. That'll do it for us here on CBS 6 News at 11. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.